we tried to see how classes are written, how its objects are created, and how we use the properties and functionalities of corresponding objects. In this video we are going to learn what is inheritance, and we'll try to understand with the help of an example. Okay, so in previous video we created a vehicle class, and we created an objects directly for vehicles, and we used all its properties and functionalities. But that is one categorization of an objects, that is a vehicle. But in that we have many subcategories as well. So suppose for fuel vehicle we can have different properties apart from the common properties that we have in vehicle. We have different properties for fuel vehicle and for non-fuel vehicle as well. For suppose take bike for fuel vehicle and take cycle for non-fuel vehicle, we have different properties for them as well. It's okay, we can create bike and cycle directly for vehicles as well. But when we go for the subcategorization and then we create a class, it is easy to create objects for that class because we have already defined functionalities based on their subcategories as well. Okay, so for suppose if you have a cycle and you want to have a property for air, you cannot define it in vehicle because then you have to define that air for fuel vehicle as well. Similarly, if we have a property called fuel in vehicle, and then if you're creating an object of cycle for this vehicle, you cannot have that fuel property for cycle. So that's why we include only the common properties which are there for fuel vehicle and non-fuel vehicle in the vehicle. And then when we go for the specialization, and this is like, this was the very generic thing, then we get into some specific category, this is called specialization. And then when we are defining class for this fuel vehicle, we can try to get all the properties of vehicle along with the properties which are specific to this fuel vehicle. Okay, similarly we can get all the, when we are defining a class for non-fuel vehicle, we can get all the properties and the functionalities of a vehicle plus some new properties and functionalities which are specific for non-fuel vehicle. So this getting of all the properties and functionalities of vehicle to non-fuel vehicle and to fuel vehicle is known as inheritance. So here we can consider this vehicle as a parent and non-fuel and fuel vehicle as a children. So children are getting all the properties and functionalities of parents plus some other properties and functionalities as well. Okay, so for this for our implementation part, we'll consider a fuel property and extra properties for fuel vehicle, and air property and extra property for non-fuel vehicle. Now let's try to implement that. Okay, so previously we had this implementation, let's clear that. Okay, so we had vehicle class, right? We'll try to write a new class, fuel vehicle. Let me fuel vehicle class. Okay, so let me bring this here. Vehicle class is open. I'll close all other stuff. This was my structure. So I had fuel vehicle class created. Now let's public class. Okay, so this we should have created as a .java file. We'll rename this, we'll include .java, right? Public class fuel vehicle class. So this is how we define a class in general. But now this fuel vehicle class should get all the properties from vehicle class, so we use a keyword called extend. So it is a self-explanatory, it is an extension of vehicle class, ECH vehicle class. Here we'll define only the new properties like string fuel quantity. Okay, and the getter and setter for this, string set fuel quantity. Okay, let's consider this as numeric liters. Okay, So set fuel quantity is a function for which will pass that quantity, and that quantity will be assigned to the fuel quantity property. So basically it is a setter function. So setter function, we are not expecting anything from it. So set fuel quantity, here we should pass what is the quantity, and that quantity will be assigned to fuel quantity. Fuel quantity is equal to qty, and we also want to get back that getter function for the fuel quantity. So get fuel qty, fuel quantity. Now that should be return what fuel quantity property, and since this is returning fuel quantity which is of type integer, our function's return type should be also integer. Now here if you see what are the functionalities of fuel vehicle class, is nothing but model name, fields and fuel quantity are the properties of fuel vehicle class, and all these methods plus these two methods are the functionalities of fuel vehicle class. Similarly, we'll copy the same thing and we'll create one more non-fuel vehicle class dot java. Okay, so here we'll include non, this is simply I pasted those things again. Okay, let me have it here. So this is our fuel vehicle class, this is our vehicle class. Now we are defining whatever the non-fuel vehicle class is there. So this should have all the properties of vehicle class and air quantity. So we'll have a getter and setter. This is not mandatory, this functionality, but if in case you want to use it, we'll define it. Air quantity, oh my bad, air quantity, and this is get air quantity, and that quantity should be assigned to air quantity, and this should be written. So you see we have all the functionalities of a vehicle class plus air quantity to this non-fuel. We have all the functionalities of vehicle class and this fuel quantity and this functionalities to fuel vehicle class. So this keyword is nothing but getting all the properties of a parent to children. This is called as inheritance. Now we'll try to create one cycle object for this and one bike object for this. So let's have our main class here. Okay, so here we'll be creating an object for non-fuel. Now how to create that? We'll use non-fuel vehicle class cycle is equal to new non-fuel vehicle class. So, and similarly one for fuel vehicle class bike is equal to new fuel vehicle class. Now just to make sure that it has all the properties of vehicle class as well, we'll write bike dot set model name as bullet, and car dot set model of I'm not able to recollect any cycle model. Okay, let's say hero model 1. Okay, now we'll try to fetch that as well. Bike dot get model name, car dot set model name, and we'll print this. So instead of storing the get model name and then printing, we'll directly have that printed. SOP again car dot get model name, and here we are all this is where we can just make sure that we are bike and car are getting functionalities of vehicle class, because this Set model name we didn't define in these classes, but we defined it in vehicle class. If you can see in vehicle class, here we have get model, set model. Okay. Similarly, we can have bike will have one more property called fuel quantity, because bike is an object of fuel vehicle class. So fuel vehicle class has this property, bike dot set fuel quantity of 10, and then we'll have this printed as well. Okay, my bad, this is cycle, it should be cycle, right? And now we'll have bike dot set fuel quantity. I should be able to fetch that get fuel quantity, so it should return us 10. Okay. Similarly, we'll have cycle. For cycle, we have a property called set air quantity. For that, again, we are sending, for suppose it will be in let's give some random unit 50. Now if we try to get this control thing, this is get air quantity, and since that is a function, it should have its own curly braces. So we are good, right? This get model name, set model name of any object, it is getting from vehicle class. And when we are saying bike dot get fuel quantity, so bike is an object of, so how the control flows is, when we are calling a function, this function will be searched in this class. This object is belongs to this class, so this class has that functionality or not. Set to get, it has, right? So it is a valid, this will be executed. Similarly, when we are calling set air quantity, control will check this functionality should be existing there in cycle, and cycle is an object of which class, this class, and this class has that property set air quantity, yes, so this will be executed. This line should end with semicolon. Similarly, when we are saying bike dot set model name of any name, so when it is getting executed, this function is called, this function should exist in this object. This object is of type fuel vehicle class. Fuel vehicle class is this, which should have a property called set model name. Now this extends vehicle class, so vehicle extend class or this class should have this property called set model name, right? That's how our JVM will search for that function and will execute those code. So we'll try to compile all the Java files star.java, and then we'll, what happened, class on fuel extends should be declared in a file. Okay, what happened? Okay, so this is a very good time to identify what went wrong. So when we are saying cycle dot set model name, so it means set model name is a function which should exist in class cycle. Now cycle was an object of non-fuel vehicle class, so set model name is there in this non-fuel vehicle class. Okay, so at least vehicle class should have that functionality, right? So here if you see, and the error that we got is we are not able to find what this is saying is error method set model name in class vehicle class cannot be applied to given type. So basically it was not able to find a function with this name and 0 arguments, because it has a function with that name and 1 argument, but there is no function set model name with 0 arguments. So when we are calling any set model name, we should also send its model name. Okay, but here we actually intended to get, so that's how it evaluates which function to execute, which not. Okay, see, reason actual and formal arguments list differ. So what actual and formal arguments are? The one which you are passing when you want to call a function and you are passing something, that is your formal, that is your actual thing which you are passing, but the one which is catching is your formal. Okay, now here bullet is actual, bullet is the actual value, right? But when you are calling set model name, it will be called to this, and the value bullet will be assigned to this. So here name will be our formal thing, but the actual thing that we are sending is our actual arguments, and the one which is catching that value is our formal arguments. Let's try to run that. Clear screen. Let's compile this. Java star dot Java, and then again what happened? Okay, error class, this is public class, non-fuel vehicle class is public, should be declared in a file name the non-fuel vehicle class. Okay, so thing is, when you are defining a class name with public, then file name and class name should be same. I'll repeat this. When you are defining a class name with the public, then the file name and the class name should be same. So what I think is, I did some spelling mistake here. So if you see what I've written here, the my file name is should be different than what I've written here. VECH. Okay, yeah, VECHILE. Okay, okay. Don't focus on spelling which is correct or which is wrong, but we should make sure our our class name and file name should be same when we are using public. So what is FUELVECHILE? FUELVECHILE. So now it is same. So we should use the same class name again when we are creating an object for that. Okay, now if we try to run that, so I'll repeat this. When we are using public, our class name and file name should be same. Okay, yeah, one more place. I think now we are good. So these kind of errors are good because that's how we try to learn new concepts. And that is compiled successfully. Java main classes. Okay, so if you see, what we were expecting is, and what our output is, bike.set model name bullet. So when we call bike.get model name, we got bullet, and we set the cycle.set model name as hero model 1, and when we tried to get model name, we got hero model 1. Let me have this here, this here. I'll close this. Now I think it will be clear. Okay, yeah, this one also not required. Okay, and then we set a fuel quantity. When we try to get fuel quantity, it was returning us the property called fuel quantity, whose value was 10 as per our previous instruction. So when we try to fetch that, we got 10. Similarly with the air quantity, we set 15 as a value of a property called air quantity, and when we try to fetch that air quantity, we got 50. So that is how we use the concept of inheritance. So basically what we did here is, we got all the properties of vehicle class, that is a parent one, into its child thing. So here we need not to define again all the properties and functionalities of a vehicle, because that was already defined in a class called vehicle class, and we simply extended it. Okay, so if you have any queries regarding the inheritance thing, so there are multiple types of inheritance, but this was the very standard and the basic one. Okay, yeah. So if you have any queries regarding the inheritance, you can comment down in the comment section. Thank you.